Summer is finally here, and so is the urge to eat fresh lobster rolls. I'm going to show you how I make New England-style lobster rolls from live Maine lobsters. Viewer discretion is advised. Let's do it. First, I need to find Maine lobsters, which can be a little tricky since I live in California. Luckily though, I know a place in East LA that flies them in almost daily. I've already locked onto my target. And here we are, live Maine lobsters. This one is quite large. It's a little over 2 pounds with a massive claw. This other one is a little over 1.5 pounds, also quite large. Receiving them still alive is one of the best ways to guarantee the freshest lobster meat. The next part is a bit graphic and controversial. I debated whether or not to show this, but honestly, it's a part of the process that every living thing that we eat endures. So I wanted to be transparent. I'm going to throw them in my pot of boiling water that has been heavily salted. Since these are quite large, I'm going to boil them for about 13 to 15 minutes. Once the meat temperature reads about 140 degrees Fahrenheit, they should be ready. I like to plunge them into an ice bath afterwards for a couple of reasons. One is to make them easier to handle. Two, since I'm making New England-style lobster rolls, I want them somewhat cool to complement the dressing. This next part can be a little bit messy, so I recommend using a sheet tray or even doing this over the sink. I'm going to start out by removing these massive claws. I can't wait to see the meat that we get out of these mitts. To remove the tail, grab both the body and the tail and just twist and pull. And once again, it should come off pretty easily. To access the tail meat, you can do this a couple different ways, but I like to hold the tail, shell side facing my hand, and just squeeze to crack it. If it's being stubborn, feel free to use a pair of seafood scissors and cut the shell upwards. Pull it apart and the meat should slide right out. And just in case you're wondering what that white gunk is, it's called hemolymph, which is a blood-like fluid found in most invertebrates. Before I get to the claw, I'm going to pull out the knuckle meat. I find using scissors here is just the easiest way to go. Contrary to popular belief, there is meat in those skinny little legs, and it's actually really sweet and tender, but I don't always use it. Now for the claw. They are the size of my hand, and FYI, I don't have small hands. I'm going to gently remove the bottom blade, trying to keep it intact. Then using the backside of my knife, I'm just going to crack the top part, then the side, and it should slide right out. And look at this thing. You can make an entire roll just using this one claw. Another way to do this is to just use the scissors. Once again, I'll use my knife to make a small hole, then I'll just cut upwards. Then I'll do the other side, and it should open right up, allowing you to remove the meat. And here it is, the pincher claw. Now we just want to cut up the claw, tail, whatever you have into small pieces. Feel free to leave them in larger chunks or cut them smaller, totally up to you and your preference. I'll place all of this in a bowl and set aside for a few minutes so I can cut the celery and the chives. I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to lobster rolls, especially when using quality lobsters like these guys. I find less is more, but that's just me. I like to finely chop the celery, then I'll do the same with the chives. You don't have to use celery, by the way, but I do like the subtle crunch that it adds. To dress the meat, I'm going to add a few tablespoons of mayonnaise, followed by the celery and a little bit of lemon juice. I'll give that a mix, then I'll come back with a little salt and pepper. Give everything a final mix, then I'll grab my buns that have been toasting in the oven and put it all together. I like to open up the bun a little bit and rub a little melted butter in there, so it's kind of like a mix between Connecticut and New England style. Then I'll simply add the lobster meat in, making sure we've got a little bit of everything, claw, legs, tail. Lastly, I'll top it with chives, and that's it. New England-style lobster rolls that are about as fresh as you can get them. You know, besides living 3,000 miles away and catching them myself, but you know, whatever. As always, ingredients will be in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.